I think today I've been asked to speak and after Dr. Batra, and he actually talked about the entire 30 under 30 process. And and I think the really what I've been asked to speak is building a law firm of the future. And again, I don't want to get into too much of jargon, but I'll just walk you through. Law firms are nothing but a commercial entity who are trying to make sure that the commercial objective of clients are legally achieved. So therefore, let's look at how great companies have been built. And I think maybe I would like to start with that. If you look at any great company, you'll find that all great companies, the customer, the client, for law firm is a client, the client or the customer is the fulcrum. And client acquisition, client satisfaction, and client retention or a customer acquisition retention is the critical question. And therefore, what is really true for any company is also true for law firms. Let's look at just example. Let's look at companies like Apple. Now we all know what Apple product is. They were first in the game to launch a phone which did multiple jobs. And virtually today, none of us can live off that phone or can stay without that phone. And that's an important part of that phone. Same thing is with Tesla. Like it's the first electric vehicle and it's way ahead the rest. So really, if you want to build a law firm, like any company, client satisfaction or customer satisfaction has to be the must. And therefore, as what you said, Dr. Batra said, you have to constantly reinvent, because what product Apple launched in 2015, that cannot be sold in 2022. So you have to constantly reinventing yourself. Same is the case with law firms. If you have given an advice to a client in 2015, you can't do the same advice in 2020 because the world is changing. And look at the world. In the last 2 years, we have worked sitting from home, most of us. Think about it. Is the world outside is dynamic or not? And if you have to give a scale, in last 2 years, the way we work from home, the way we became tech savvy, the way all the work in spite of lockdown continued. If you look at it, probably we'll give it 8 or 9. The world has changed in last 2 years out of a scale of 10, maybe 8, maybe 9. Somebody will give 10, maybe 7. And we have to think about a law firm. If a law firm is not changing to that pace, that means if you're giving 8 as external environment, and law firm is an advisor to a client, then the law firm needs to change with the same pace. And if it is not changing, then it will be like a Nokia or a Kodak. It will get out of the market. And that's an important part. Now, I'll give you an example of an interesting person, Martin Lipton. Martin Lipton, and he founded a firm which is called Wachter, Lipton, Rosen and Cutts. This is among the top, not among, it's the top M&A firm in New York. One offices charge the maximum, they get involved in the most complicated deals. And what was really Martin's focus? In 1970s, 80s, and this is very, very profitable, high quality firm. And what did it do? Basically, that was the time in the US when small investors were raiding companies and taking over. And therefore, what Martin came up with a concept which is called poison pill, that how to protect companies from being taken over. So he basically tried to say, what are the shareholder rights, the board rights, where the board has an ability to look at a possible takeover offer. And that is what's called poison pill. And remember, so basically he invented a product among legal business, a law firm. And he was a lawyer, top lawyer, invented a product and then built up a huge firm called Martin Lipton Firm. And I would say Wachter, Lipton, Rosen and Cutts. And this is among the best and the top law firm. So what I'm trying to really say is, whether it's a company or a law firm, if you want to build the best, you have to have a product which is the best. If your product is something which anybody can give, you cannot build a top law firm. And that's an important, like nobody has come closer to build something like a electric car, what Elon Musk has built. And that is an important, same thing is with poison pill. So really, to build a law firm, what is important is you have to be doing something which is better than the rest, far better than the rest, and you have to be the first. That's an important. First mover advantage is what Martin had, Elon Musk has, and Apple had. And that's an important part. Now, let me talk about my journey, and I'll give you some examples that what I did. And I built a very successful firm, Luthra and Luthra, and now I'm building a new firm called Saraf and Partners. So when I co-founded Saraf, Luthra and Luthra, we just three of us. And I had read about Martin Lipton, and I kept thinking about it. What is the poison pill for me? How can I make it? And this is a firm which had less than 10 lakh rupees of revenue. What is my poison pill? And I thought that I joined the firm, I formed the firm in 90s. And that time, what was really happening was power sector. And therefore, my poison pill was power sector. So I started doing deals in power sector. And I believe I was ahead of the curve. I was way ahead of the curve. I had the first mover advantage. And I did probably hundreds of deals. And that was the time when I started doing power sector in India. Indian lawyers were typically doing just Indian legal work. And project finance was done by international lawyers who would fly in from London or in New York. And I started like that. And soon I did 100 projects as sole counsel. I replaced international counsels on deals. And then companies like Vatsala, company like CDC, these are all foreign companies, Smith Cogeneration, they actually took me as a foreign or international counsel in China, in Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, where I lived and did projects there. So really, for me, the poison pill was that I built an area. And that time, remember, there were no corporate law firms in India. In the 90s, there were virtually no corporate law firms. And therefore, the place was virgin. And everybody was doing some legal work on power sector. And most of it where people were doing was really getting list of clearances out. What are the clearances which we require to build a power project? And I did a little bit ahead. And in a way, I became one of the top leaders. And that really helped me to move my firm with a revenue of 10 lakh rupees to a 300 crore in a matter of 20 years. And that was my poison pill. And why I'm trying to tell you, each one of you, if any of you want to build a firm, you have to have something which is different and much more valuable for your clients. If you don't have it, building a top firm is very difficult. So therefore, I think the important USP is you have to stand out. So basically, I did hundreds of projects. I went to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, China as international counsel. Can you imagine? I hired a local counsel in Bangladesh who, after I hired him, became the vice president of the country. So that is what my position. And then I was involved in the drafting of the Electricity Act. So I was like, in a smaller way, what I can do was like a poison pill in India. And that's an important thing. And I would say every time we believe that maybe it's too late, the opportunity does not exist, opportunity actually exists. And I'll give you a little bit idea about how law firms in India has developed. When we started law firm India, I started law firm in early 90s. Really, basically there were individual lawyers, and only few law firms existed in Mumbai. These were old law firms, largely litigation, little bit of corporate, but mostly litigation. And most of the firms have disappeared. And I think that's an important thing that we have to understand about building a law firm and keeping the law firm and making sure that the law firm grows from strength to strength. These are equally important. In last 10, 20 years, you've got new firms which have come up. And some law firms had old history. Some people have no history. And that's an important bit. And again, if you think about it, each law firm, when you analyze, you'll see that they did something like they had a poison pill. Somebody had an IP, and some IP boutiques had an intellectual property businesses. Somebody had data, somebody had fintech. So they all, some law firm have securities. So they created a poison pill. And that's an important thing for each one of you. If you are being a part of a law firm or you're trying to build a law firm, each law firm and each lawyer, remember, law firm is nothing but collection of lawyers. And if each lawyer has a poison pill, then you can imagine the strength of the law firm. And that's an important part. I would say the key ingredients for any successful law firm, I would say the first most important will be client first. And I would say when I look at law firms and lawyers, I somehow feel that they don't believe that they are in service industry. They believe that they are an advisor, and therefore they stand in a pedestal over their clients. And I would say that is one of the reasons why law firms in India have not reached that scale and reputation as global firms, because they somehow get so proud of the fact of being a lawyer that they, to a large extent, look down on your client's issues. And that's a very big problem. In my view, no service industry can grow unless you have first thing in your mind is client first. We are here for clients. Clients are not there for us. I think in my view, that's the most important part. If you like, Mr. Batra was talking about that some of the young lawyers have done multiple M&A deals prior to that, even at the age of 30. And that's an importance. If you look at what law firms do, they write IPO document to raise capital. They write financing document to raise debt finance. They do joint ventures. They help buy companies. They help sell companies. They litigate. They build infrastructure projects. They litigate for their rights. All these things are nothing but commercial. This is a corporate commercial objective. Through an M&A, you're trying to realize a commercial objective. Through an IPO, you're trying to realize a commercial objective. And even to litigation arbitration, you're trying to realize a commercial objective. And therefore, it is very important to respect the client and understand that we are in the service industry and the client is first. And therefore, we have to give the client commercial objective a lot of respect and try to help them achieve commercial objective. And I will remember Jack Welch. I met him, Jack Welch, in India. And I asked Jack, I said, Jack, tell me, Jack used to run GE in India, in the world. And I asked Jack, I said, Jack, tell me, what do you look for a lawyer when you hire a lawyer? He said, Mohit, you know one thing? I need a lawyer who can help me do what I want to do. I don't want a lawyer who can tell me it cannot be done. I want somebody who can help me do what I want to do. Obviously, when he said that, he didn't say that in a non-compliant matter, breach law, but he said in a compliant manner. And that's an important thing. So for a law firm to be very successful, to be relevant in future, like important thing is that it does not become irrelevant like a Nokia phone or a Kotak moment, that you need to be very relevant. You have to respect clients' requirement and have to keep in mind that we are in service industry. A lot of time I deal with lawyers and senior lawyers. They don't believe that they are in service industry. They actually believe that they are doing some good work for the clients and they are at a pedestal, but they are not they are not in a service industry. They sometimes even make clients feel that they are in service industry. So it's a very, very important mindset if you have to build a firm. That's number one. The second important thing is that to build a firm, I think we talked about good 30 lawyers under 30. We have to all understand the firm, and this is the second point. The first important point is the client is the first and the most important. The second important thing, the firm is above all lawyers and all support staff. And therefore, we have to understand, like when you do an M&A deal, 2 plus 2 is more than 4. The same thing is in a firm. You can never be that complete and add that value unless you have people supporting you, both on legal and support function. And therefore, we have to understand that together we can grow. It doesn't mean that it means a lot of collaboration among lawyers and support staff. And that is an important thing, that if you have that, and again, doesn't mean that there should not be healthy competition. There should be healthy competition, but there should be a lot of collaboration. People should know that no law firm can succeed unless lawyers are very good. And the lawyers should know that they cannot succeed unless law firm is very good and the brand is very good. And therefore, they need to give up. Because remember one thing, is in any zero-sum game, every time you give something to build something. So when lawyers give a part of their working ethos and ethics and everything for building the firm, they may get a little bit downside on some issues, but eventually what they build is far more than they won't give up. And that's an important thing. If you look at today, it is very important that the firm is more important than individual. And I think that's a very, very important. So therefore, this is the second important point, that the firm, first important point is the clients are most important and they come first. The second important thing is the firm is very, very important. And it comes second, just after the client. And that doesn't mean that you can compromise ethics of the firm for client benefit because client is number one. No, we are an officer of the court, and we have to build, work, and help clients achieve commercial objective, but in a compliant, effective manner. And the third important thing is lawyers and support staff. It's third. So therefore, the firm has to be such which helps people to grow so that they excel year after year. Remember one thing, any lawyer who has stopped growing is actually useless because he's not relevant. He may be relevant 2 years back, but now he's no more relevant. What is important is the firm has to be such that it helps you grow. People help you understand things better. They support your function. They have healthy discussion. You're able to look at issues in a different way. And therefore, what the firm provides is an enabling environment for individuals to grow. And therefore, lawyers and support staff come a little bit lower than the firm. And that's an important thing. So therefore, individual aspirations must give up for the firm. And that is an important part. And that is how a firm, a top class firm, can be made and can continue to be ahead of the curve. And I think that's an important part. And I would say this is important. The firm which I founded, Saraf and Partners, on 18th of July 2021, we look at these issues very, very carefully. The brand is very important. We have a poison pill. Remember, in 2021, when we are forming a firm, my firm cannot be little bit or cannot be as good as other firms. If they are doing as good as other firms were, then we have a problem. So we have to find a poison pill to do better than the rest. And that's what we're doing. And the firm brand, each one of us has to build that brand. And the structure of the firm has to be so balanced that it helps everybody to grow. Therefore, today, I think all decision in the firm is virtually taken together by getting all partners on a Zoom call, and we discuss the issue and take decision. So participation in the management of the firm, so that you don't feel as if you are working for somebody. You believe that you are working for yourself. And the other issue is that partners become owners of the firm. They run the firm, and the firm outlives any individual. And that is an important, and this is I believe what the model which I have brought in Saraf and Partners would be in a way a better and which will help other firms also to reinvent and provide a stability to lawyers so that they can do an excellent work. Because really, at the end of the day, we are not making a product. It's all lawyering. And therefore, lawyers have to be motivated, I would say, and they should, every day they should get up and they should feel, wow, I want to really go and do a better job today. And that's an important, you're competing with yourself. And that is what a leader like me job is. If you remember, if you've heard about Elon Musk, who built this Tesla, he virtually used to sleep in the factory. So the leader has to be obsessed. That is the only thing he wants to do. And for each one of you who's listening to me, a lawyer, you need to be obsessed. You have to be obsessed to do good legal work. If you are doing that, you will be a top lawyer, and therefore you can possibly build a top brand, maybe alone or in collaboration with other people, and which can be the firm of the century, which can outlive you, and which the brand will be much more important than any one of us. And remember one thing, we have to understand, lawyers, law firms are in service industry. I think with that, I come to an end of my talk. Happy to take any questions if anybody has.